beginning of the end of the world.
Zionism is like a political movement, and Judaism is like
Zionism is not only a political movement, it's also a religious movement. And it involves the core of the Israeli state, because it's at the foundation of the Israeli state. So it's we can say that they manipulate really everything. The media in America, the Zionists have control over Hollywood, over New York, and at the same time they collaborate with the Vatican and they work together for the establishment of this new world order. People don't want to accept that the Zionists actually work with the Vatican. This is something unprecedented. They think there is a conflict between them, but it's not like that in reality.
So the Zionists...
And I experienced that from my days working closer with the Mossad, because I saw how they operate and I saw how they were working with the Vatican. So I know the level of intimacy between the two organizations.
So the Zionists are basically manipulating also the majority of Jews, or like Jewish general population. So.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the Jewish have a lot of good sides, but they can't expose them to the rest of the world. They can't be themselves, because they have this conflict between themselves. They have to act as Jew people. They have to accept the state of Israel, and the state of Israel becomes for them this curse. Unfortunately, leads them to the wrong path. For me, I was living in Rome. Rome is a city that for 2,000 years has the oldest Jewish community, and at the same time is the capital, this world center of Christianity. But this relationship with the Jews in the Empire of Rome goes back a long time ago. Since the time of Christ himself, there were certain families and certain Jews who had a very good relationship with Rome. And still nowadays those families, in fact John Paul II called them the oldest brothers, our oldest brothers. He also made an effort to bring closer Jewish and Christians in during his time in office as a pope. Then you have the fake threats of people like Fidel Castro or Fidel Castro and Chavez. Fidel Castro is a Freemason. There is Freemasons in Cuba. Cuba is very well known for its Masonic lobby that includes about 20,000 members, and has always lived alongside with the communists, and live alongside with the communists in a way that never created a problem. So for many people might be a surprise that in a communist society like Cuba there is Freemasonry, but that's the truth, that's how it is. And Fidel Castro was made a 33 degree like Che Guevara just before the revolution started, because they were part of this changing establishment that was always behind, dictated by the Illuminati. Chavez also is another fake character which seems to want to be on a war against Bush, but in reality is selling oil to the United States and making a lot of money and being part of the same conspiracy.
So you're saying like Chavez and Fidel Castro are working consciously to achieve this new world order?
Yeah, they are part of it like everybody else, because the New World Order is about making money, and it's about people wanting to be together for money reasons, and money reasons are reasons that are well above any other reasons for these people. They were Freemasons. Even Lenin himself was initiated before going to bring the last part of the revolution to the Russian people. This whole connection with the Germans, with the German Kaiser, is connected also to the Illuminati, and also the financing of this revolution was connected to the Illuminati. In Africa, connected to the witch doctors, connected to black magic, which we can describe as animistic in nature. Voodoo practices in Africa have all sorts of secret societies. You have the secret society of the leopard, of the panthers, of the whatever animals. They base their secret society usually on an animal, on a sacred animal, and they have the witch doctor as the head of this secret society. They're very vicious and very much playing with black magic. That's why we have all these wars in Africa. Africa is full of black magic, and in the hands of also Freemasons who don't have any pity upon the African population.
Okay, and then attributed as the one who basically like set in motion the colonialization and destruction of Africa is Cecil Rhodes, and I understand he had also like links into these secret societies.
Yes, Freemasonry and slavery had close links with Freemasonry. That was acknowledged even recently by Freemason students and Freemason connoisseurs themselves. I mean, they don't deny that these links exist with the creation of slavery. But you have to understand that slavery was created at the beginning because of one man who said to a king that he knew of some creatures in a very distant land who were inferior species, and that man was Ignazio Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits. So the Jesuits are behind the first slavery ever. Priory of Zion has become very popular, but nobody knows the real story of the Priory of Zion, of Plantard Sinclair and his various secret service people that were working for him, part of the Vichy movement, the right-wing movement in France, and involved also Gino Sandri, who was the secretary of Plantard Sinclair, and this Giampiero Giudicelli, who, for example, is one of the creators of this NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, free school in France, in Nice, and with Marco Paré. And these are people who we should be watching, because they represent the typical example of the right-wing Illuminati extremists that are manipulating the scene and manipulating also the academic circles.
On another subject, you have mentioned that you have people in Freemasonic circles, at least in some levels, had a like quick knowledge of 9/11.
Yes, I have confirmed that there was this knowledge both in the circle of people that it is in the Monte Carlo Committee, and they had prior knowledge. But even until recently, I had a chat with Grandmaster, and Grandmaster is a person also that knew about 9/11 prior to 9/11. He had received a warning from the FBI that the CIA would do this act of terror, and so Freemasons knew even outside of the P2 Masonic circle that there was most Grandmaster, the Grandmaster like Grandmaster, this friend of mine who is the Grandmaster of an obedience in Italy. He knew about it. He knew about 9/11 and what will happen. Unfortunately, these people don't want to speak out. Otherwise, things will be very different.
Can you tell me about the Bohemian Grove?
The Bohemian Grove is headed by the Hillybillies. The Hillybillies are a group created inside the Shriners, and so there is an elite that is picked up from the elite of the Freemasons, which is the Shriners pick up people from the 30th to the 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite. Then you become a Shriner, And then once you become a Shriner, you get to other side orders, like the Hillybillies, and you participate to Bohemian Grove. Moloch is the cult that they follow in Bohemian Grove. It's the cult of Moloch is a very ancient cult. It goes back to Babylonian times, but it's been practiced by this elite with the sacrifice of little babies, with what is called the cremation care, which is, some say, only a symbolic act, but is to give your own child to sacrifice for this genie who is called Moloch, which is a very dangerous entity working with Satan.
So what about the Bilderberg group?
The Bilderberg group